All right, so today we're going to talk about social media as a whole and how you, as a content producer, can have an awareness of what this does for you and some things that you should just be aware of. So, kind of a tips and tricks type of video today. And it'll be a little bit shorter for those of you who like to absorb content like that. So, we've seen recently a big change in the types of platforms that are out there and some of the vulnerabilities that those platforms can be subject to. So let's get specific. Twitter was sold. Now, again, whatever your views are on that's not what we're talking about today. So Twitter was sold. Some of you thought, okay, that's a great time to stick with Twitter. Some of you said, oh, abort, I want out. You wanted to go to another platform. It made you aware of how much content you potentially did or did not have on that platform. Another big one that we see in some of the groups that I'm in are people who really love TikTok or have a huge following on TikTok. Again, you have intellectual property, if that works for you, on TikTok. Here's another really big one that a lot of people miss. How do you like to consume information? How do you buy on those platforms? So even if you say to me, hey, Kat, we don't have a TikTok account, or hey, Kat, I don't have a Twitter account that I communicate with my customers on, but I have one and I consume information there. You can go back and look at our video about, are you an upstream or a downstream consumer? You may want to take a quick look at how you like to gain information from one of those platforms. All right, so a couple of things. If you've taken my LinkedIn class, you know that we suggest you download your contact information occasionally from those platforms. Here's why. I was never a big advocate of this email list concept. However, it's becoming extremely relevant. We connect with people on these social platforms, and sometimes it's the only way we are connected to one person. So we don't also have their email address. We don't also have their phone number. And if that platform were to go away, or potentially, let's just say one of them crashes, we would lose that one-to-one connection with that person, or, in all likelihood, hundreds of people. So we recommend you occasionally download that information and store it somewhere. You can write over the backups occasionally, or however that works best in your system, but don't ever rely on a social media platform to hold your contact list. Here's the other thing. All of your intellectual property. So this video, great example. It is intellectual property that we hold. I personally hold it, or Oxygen holds it. And if I upload it and I don't keep a backup of it somewhere, then it's just out in space, right? It's out in the abyss. And if I leave it to a platform to hold, then we have seen a couple of things. If something were to happen to it, or that account were to have a glitch, then it would be gone. And additionally, if I go to do a backup, I have a great connection. When she went to download her Twitter information, because she had made a choice that she wanted to distance herself from that platform, she had so much Twitter information that they were having a hard time downloading it. I do believe it was successful at one point, but it was such a heavy lift for Twitter that they were having a hard time getting it off of there. So randomly be backing up your information, same with LinkedIn, same with Facebook. If it's not important on your personal account, that's one thing. But when we're talking about your corporate presence, make sure that in two separate files, your content, your intellectual property, and then your contacts are being backed up. And again, you don't have to keep them in separate files. This is your own preference, but maybe be writing over them. Here's the next piece. And as business owners or portfolio owners, you have kind of a responsibility, I'm going to say, to be up on this, even if social media isn't your jam or your expertise. being aware of how these pieces all affect you is really important. Google just made a really kind of big change. And by the way, Google makes these changes every 6 months. So this is something that's beneficial for us as consumers, because you can't necessarily stay on top of the algorithm unless you are really diligently doing it. However, if you are putting out email, an email list or a newsletter, or whatever that looks like for you and how you choose to do your marketing, if you were an approved Google sender, meaning your stuff didn't go to spam, you have to go through some new steps to be a Google approved sender now. So that means that if you didn't stay up on top of that until now, so if you're a Google user and you're sending out a list, you have some additional steps to go through so that when you've maintained that email address, that property of yours that is kind of tried and true, you are not going into people's spam boxes. And again, that's so hard. These are the things that we've worked over maybe a long period of time to maintain. And then you find out that maybe your click rate is down if you're managing it, or if somebody comes in and starts to really kind of help you with your marketing, or a company like ours is coming in and saying, okay, if we've identified a gap, this might be it. Those numbers dropped and you're saying, oh my gosh, we're not doing anything different. Google could have a factor in it. We have a company that we've identified has worked through these gaps, and we're happy to refer them. But there's also lots of companies out there who are ahead of the game. Again, they were an upstream provider and sorted through it, or it's their expertise. So these are all of those pieces that if your business is relying on social media, or to be fair, if you are even present enough to have an account. One of the things that we know as a small tip or trick, if you're ever moving in and out of having a social media account, for example, you were upset with the Twitter situation and you wanted to close your account, don't close your account. You can move away from it. You can take things down off the platform, but don't ever abandon your brand name. And these are all those little tiny tips and tricks. So there's a lot to it. And we know that it's hard to navigate amongst all the other things that are weighing on us as owners or managers. And we're here to help. There is a LinkedIn class available, both a level 1 and a level 2, that fortunately, a lot of those concepts move back and forth between Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, not so much Snapchat and Pinterest, but you can use them, and identifying what your target audience is so that you're using the right platform. So we have all of that present here. If you need some help identifying which one it is, shoot us an instant message or email us. info@oxygencoachinggroup.com gets you to a direct coach or a trainer to help you kind of navigate through that. But you want those checklists that say, hey, what's the ideal post look like? What's the ideal profile look like, so that you are comfortable getting all of this information out and then holding on to what is really taking care of your business in the virtual world. All right, we hope you take just a little bit of time to breathe life in, and have a great day, everybody.